Hey guys, this is Giles. So me and my wife are going to play another game. She's read the book a little bit more, and what was going to start as a relatively medium-sized game has blown up into a 4,600 point game, so this should be a lot of fun. Once again, she's going to be facing my dwarves, and let me review my army first. Alright, so my army is going to be led by my lord. He's pretty much equipped as he was last time. He's got a +1 toughness and a 5+ invulnerable save ward, as well as the 2+ save versus killing blow. For his weapon, I gave him the Rune of Might, doubling his strength against anything toughness 5, and an additional attack. He's got his standard shield bearers and a shield. Next to him is my other lord choice, which is going to be Ungrim Iron Fist. He joined a unit of Slayers and decided to join in the fight. I'm bringing a Rune Smith with a Rune of Balance and a Rune of Spell Breaking and a shield. I'm going to be bringing in my Army Standard Bearer. He's got the Master Rune of Grungy. Next to him, he's still unpainted, sorry, is Grim Burlickson. He's going to be manning my Organ Gun. And next to them is going to be Greta, and she's a Thane equipped with a Rune of Fire, a Rune of Stone, and a shield. Now for my core choices, my army is going to be led by, my main core choice is going to be my Longbeards, allowing me the reroll for panic tests, helping keep my army together. Next to them will be a 30 strong block of warriors with great weapons. 2 blocks of 10 quarrelers. I like running lots of small units since I cannot move and shoot. That way I can try to cover as many lanes of fire as I can. I'm also going to be running 2 units of Thunderers to give me a little bit more softening up. Maybe punch a Great Eagle out of the sky or just soften some of the close combat stuff before they do get to me. Got for my specials a unit of Hammers for my lord. They have the Master Rune of Valaya to give me a little extra support versus the magic. I've got a rather large, I think they're 28 Iron Breakers. Something that can stand up to just about anything if I can keep the magic under control. I have a block of 30 Slayers running around with Ungrim. Now I've heard a lot of hate on these guys online, but I just absolutely adore them. So hopefully they're going to be chopping down a tree man. I've got my 10 Iron Drakes to give me a little moving and shooting, kind of a quick response. And just to annoy her archers, I'm bringing in a unit of 25 miners that's going to be coming in by ambush. For war machines, I've got I still wanted to go kind of light, so I brought in a Grudge Thrower with a Rune of Accuracy and a Rune of Penetration. A Organ Gun with a Rune of Accuracy and a Rune of Forging. A Cannon with a Rune of Forging. And a Bow Thrower with a Rune of Accuracy and a Rune of Seeking, giving me +2 to hit anything with the flying special roll, and I expect there'll be plenty. So I'll go over my wife's list in just a second. Okay, for the Woodelves, first off is their general is going to be the Highborn Lord riding a Forest Dragon. He is going to be equipped with Dace Reaper and the Helm of the Hunt. Also in the Lord's choices, she's going to have an Ancient Tree Man who is a caster, let's see, Lore of Life, level 3. She's running 2 Spell Singers, both of which are level 2. She's bringing in Dryka and all her evil goodness. She's going to be trying out Eraloth. She did some modifications to the model. Neither one of us thought the antlers really made much sense for somebody running around in the trees a lot, so she trimmed those down. Actually, I like them better without them. And she's bringing a Naked Standard Bearer, just an elf with a standard. For her core choices, she's going to be bringing in a unit of Dryads of the Birch variety and 3 units of Ambushing Glade Riders, 2 5 strong, 1 6 strong. Also, she's going to be bringing in 25 Eternal Guard, full command, upgraded with shields. And she's going to be bringing in 4 units of the Glade Guard. Now, the Glade Guard and the Glade Riders all have the Arcade Bobkins, so all my armor is going to be pretty much useless. For the special, she's going to be bringing in 3 Sisters. We just have the stacks built because I think she's trying to decide whether she wants the Sisters or the Wild Riders, so she's going to try them out before she finishes the model. And she's going to be bringing in 2 units of Treekin. Now, neither one of us really like Treekin models very much. They're kind of ugly. So she went and scoured every model producer out there and found as many different bears as she could. So bears are representing her Treekin, and their leaders are being displayed as the Dire Bear and the Werebear. She also has a unit of Deepwood Scouts, 5 strong, and 10 Pathfinders, which I hate Pathfinders. For harassment units, she's bringing in 3 Warhawk Riders with a champion, and she's got 3 Great Eagles, one of which is an owl, but still an awesome model. And that's her army, plus of course her free Citadel Wood is going to be placed in a convenient area to annoy me. So that's what she's running in this battle. So next let's look at the battlefield. Quick review of the battlefield. We've got a little settlement in one corner, Wizard's Tower. The tree trunk is just a big building. A steadfast bulwark, or blessed bulwark, sorry. A random fence that's decrepitated in the middle of the forest. We've got a magic circle on that side. A Grail Chapel, which is being swallowed up by the forest. A normal, nothing special forest. A marsh. Another blessed bulwark. Say that 3 times fast. And a hill right smack in the middle. So this is our table. Now on to deployment. Alright, we got a lot going on. So first off, we have the scouts coming in on my left flank. Sisters of the Thorn and a Great Eagle. Glade Guard, Treekin, Great Eagle, Eternal Guard, with some Warhawk Riders behind him, Erloth, Glade Guard, Dragon is hiding in the trees, the turkey. Glade Guard, Dryads, more Glade Guard with a wizard, I think, hiding beside them, and a Great Eagle over there. So from a bird's eye view, it's a long battle line. Now I'll go over to the other side of the table and shoot the dwarves. Holding my left flank is my Slayers, my Longbeards, and my Hammers. I'm keeping an eye on this forest because I'm expecting a tree man to pop out of it any time. I've got my Iron Drakes and my Grudge Thrower up against the bulwark. I've created a nice little castle in the middle, both unit of Thunderers to the front, Quarrelers to the side. After deployment, I realized I should put the Quarrelers in front because I'm a moron like that, but that's okay. I put Grim Burlickson in here, just within 3 inches of my Oregon gun. Bolt thrower in the middle, Ken on the side. Also, didn't mention my Lord and Standard Bearer are in with the Hammers, no place they'd rather be. On the other side of my castle, hope I didn't give you air sickness there, I've got my Iron Breakers with my Rune Priests in there, giving them all armor piercing. Beside them is the 30 strong unit of warriors, with Greta giving them a little extra support, and off beside me in my deployment zone, oh, look at that, some Waywatchers / Pathfinders. I'll be calling them both throughout the game. There's no character in there, right? Okay, there's no character in there. So we're going to roll off to see who gets first turn, and then move on to the game. Let's see what happens. So, the Sisters vanguarded up a little bit. I rolled for my hatred, and it turns out all of my characters hate all of her characters, And I won the roll for first turn, so let's see what happens after my movement phase. Movement phase was a lot of running up, so my Longbeards and my Hammers both just ran up, heading for the pass. I'm really hating this marsh here. My Slayers are going to basically walk right through a forest because I'm expecting a tree man still to kind of pop out of there here pretty soon. And, well, if he does, let's say Lumberjack song. These guys stayed still, getting ready to shoot. They stayed still. They all stayed still. My Warriors and Ironbreakers got the heck out of the way, so my Quarrelers and Organ Gun can fire at the Pathfinders. Fortunately, that Wizard Tower is also in the way, but I want to make sure that she doesn't get it. So I'm going to split both sides and see what she does in response. So skipping the magic phase is nothing for me to dispel, so I'm going to move on to shooting. So, Grudge Thor managed to lob a shot all the way over there to the Dryads and took out a full rank of 5. My Quarrelers here managed to fire at the Thorn Sisters, did 3 wounds, which she made all 3 ward saves, so I did nothing. Cannon managed to pile a rock, or cannonball, right in front of the dragon, but didn't touch him. The bolt thrower then decided to try to shoot him and hit a tree instead, gave a squirrel a really bad day. And the Organ Gun and a unit of Quarrelers managed to knock out 4 of the Pathfinders, Weight Watchers, take your pick. And not the best shooting phase, but could have been worse, so nothing's in close combat. Off to Elf turn 1. Wood Elf movement phase was interesting. So the Sisters of the Thorn have actually charged into my Longbeards. The Scouts stayed still, getting ready to fire at me. The Wizard ran over there towards the Grail Chapel. The Archers moved up a little bit. The Treekin Bears moved forward. Eagle jumped behind them. Eternal Guard reposition along with whatever his name is, heading for my foot troops over here. Her 2 units of Glade Guard as well as her Warhawk Riders took position behind the fence to give them some cover and start shooting at my castle. Eagle flew over there, and the rest of her troops kind of went behind the Wizard Tower. She's trying to reposition on me. Got a dragon there looking at my poor little warriors, Treekin Bears. Her Glade Guard decided to move into that tree stump, which is basically standing in as a 2-story building. I mean, they are Woodelves after all. The other eagle is hiding there, and she managed to position her dragon where none of my war machines can see him. So, Pathfinders, I think she forgot to move. So, on to Magic Phase. Well, the Magic Phase was not fun for the Dwarves. First off, she casts Curse of Anra here on my Longbeards. I let that one go because she had 10 dice to my 5. She then hit them with Word of Pain, which I needed to roll a 5 on 2 dice to dispel, and I rolled a 4. Okay, well that was fun. So my Longbeards are going to have a rough day. She tried to cast Miasma on my warriors over here, but I was able to dispel that one. And then she failed to cast her other spell, which she giggled maniacally and didn't tell me what it was. So we'll see what happens in the next turn. Scouts in their shooting managed to kill 1 Slayer. Glade Guard were unable to hurt the Fire Drakes. All 3 of these units fired over here. 2 fired at the Thunderers, failed to hurt anybody. 1 fired at the cannon and failed to do any wounds. The Glade Guard inside the building fired into the warriors and managed to kill 3 off. And the Pathfinders managed to kill off a wound off the Organ Guns. So on to close combat, and we'll see if my Longbeards can hold out. So, close combat results. The Sisters came in here. They got a decent amount of hits, but then they whiffed on wounds. They couldn't do any wounds to my Dwarves. The only 1 wound they got through I managed to save with an armor save. So, hitting back, I needed 6s to hit because of all the curses on me, but I did manage to get 2 hits. They both wound, and she rolled Snake Eyes for a ward save, so they decided to break and run. I chose not to pursue in my leadership because of those curses on me in the dangerous terrain. I'd lose a third of my guys if I tried to chase after her. So on to Dwarf turn 2. Before going on to the next elf turn, let's just take a look at the board in general. So got kind of a bottleneck there. Bad choice of mine. I wasn't expecting her spells to be able to shut me down there. Unit running, wizard hiding. Just a more general look at the board. Looks like all the action is going on the flanks, while the center is a shooting match between my castle and his fort. Or her fort, sorry. Alright, so on to elf turn. So, in the dwarf movement phase, the Slayers managed to charge through the forest into the scouts. Took no wounds from the overwatch. They stood still, waiting for that spell to wear off. My hammer is kind of repositioned. They're stuck. I want to start moving around him if I need to, or be able to countercharge a tree man if he shows up. My iron breakers ran forward to start threatening them. They failed their leadership. They're just sitting there. They tried to charge a dragon and failed. So off to shooting phase. Good shooting phase for the dwarves. The quarrelers were able to fire at the Sisters of the Thorn and clink one more off. The cannon managed to kill one of the treekin. Bolt thrower completely missed the eagle that it fired at. I was able to kill one of these glade guards with a unit of thunderers, and between a grudge thrower and a unit of thunderers, I killed all but one of these glade guards who need to take a panic test. And my volley gun was able to finish off what was left of the pathfinders. And I think I forgot to mention last time that my ambush miners came in. They marched into the field over on this flank to kind of help catch the elves in between two different units and see where they go. Alright, so off to close combat. The Slayers managed to kill the scouts off, losing one of their own, and they've repositioned themselves facing into the table. So off to elf turn 2, and let's see where her ambushers show up. Wood elf movement phase. So the sisters managed to rally, and they're facing my Slayers. The Glade Guard turned around, did a 180 to start plinking at my miners that are coming up from behind them. The Treekin reformed to start heading towards the other side of the battlefield. The Eternal Guard are heading towards the center of the line. That special character, that his name continuously eludes me, jumped behind the fence here and is hiding. And the Glade Guard stayed still to do some shooting. The Warhawk Riders attempted to charge my Thunderers. I stood and shoot, managed to do enough wounds to kill one of them off, and then they rolled a 2 for their charge distance, so they didn't even make it past the fence. And he stayed still to shoot. The Treekin on my right flank reposition and start heading towards my Iron Breakers. The Giant Eagle position himself to get a flank charge on the Warriors next turn, and the Dragon did charge into the Warriors. They made their terror test this time, so they're good to go. The Glade Riders showed up and are positioning themselves for a flank charge. One of the Giant Eagles flew over there to get a better view of the battle. And I got another unit of Glade Riders coming up here on this flank. So off to her magic phase. Forgot to mention, the tree woman decided to show up. She appeared in those woods since the other one was a little too heavily defended, and is now making her way on my right flank, which is quickly falling apart. So continue on to magic phase. So magic phase was interesting. She managed to cast the horror vortex thing. It traveled 8 inches, barely missing her Thorn Sister and parking itself right smack in front of my Slayers. Problem is, she did it on a double 6, so she ended up losing 2 magic levels. So he's alive, but he's no longer a wizard. She also tried to cast a couple spells over here from Draika and her Spellsinger, but all of them were either failed to cast or dispelled by the Dwarves. So off to shooting. Glade Guard fired at the miners, managed to kill off 2 of them. The Glade Guard over here managed to kill off 1 of my Thunderers. Glade Riders over here fired at my guys over here, but failed to wound. And that's pretty much all the shooting. Either line of sight is broken or the unit attempted to charge. So now we're going into close combat and see just how badly this dragon is going to eat dwarves. Okay, so the dragon and its rider managed to completely obliterate my poor little unit champion in a challenge. So since I'm steadfast, I made my leadership, and we go on to Dwarfs turn 3. So, my Longbeards charged into the Sisters of the Thorn to shut them down. Problem is, in aligning our flanks, it caused me to hit that dang spell, which due to some really poor rolling on my part, lost me an entire rank to that vortex, which hopefully I'll be able to take care of in my magic phase. Slayers walked right up next to it, getting ready, hoping that I get that sucker dispelled. The miners approach and are starting to get into a threatening position of the Glade Guard. The Hammerers reformed in a marching reform, walked 3 inches, trying to get towards the center of the table. Fire Drakes went over the Blessed Bulwark, also trying to start hitting for that side of the table. I jumped my Runesmith out of that unit and into a unit of Thunderers that I ran up behind the Ironbreakers, and then I reformed the Ironbreakers to try to accept a charge from those treekin that are coming. Kind of concerned because I also have these guys coming on my flank. They're taking off a pretty good roll to get me, but it's not undoable, so I'm going to need to put some pain on them this turn. And not much happening over here, just hoping I do well in the shooting phase. So let's see if I can shut that vortex down, and then I'm going to go straight into the shooting phase. So, a cannon, a bolt thrower, an organ gun, and a grudge thrower, and a unit of Thunderers managed to take out only 9 Eternal Guard. They are blessed. And my only other shooting is these unit of Quarrelers managed to kill all but 1 of the Glade Riders that was flanking me over here. That was the extent of my shooting. So now off to close combat. Oh, and I did manage to dispel the vortex. So let's see how I do against the dragon. The Longbeards managed to kill the Thorn Sisters with exactly the 2 wounds. They overran and just ended up about a half an inch behind those Glade Guards, so they lucked out. And over here, the Thane Greta sacrificed her life in a challenge. Actually managed to put 1 wound on the general, but did lose the combat and was slain. But due to being steadfast, I made the leadership. So I'm out of characters. Next turn, I expect some pain. So off to Elf turn. Alright, well that was an eventful movement phase. The Glade Guard that were stuck between the rock and the hard place decided to take the brave way out and actually charged the miners. We'll see how they do. The Eternal Guard and just about her entire army attempted to charge my Ironbreakers. They failed, but Aerolith and the Warhawk Riders and the Treekin all managed to charge and hit my Ironbreakers. So luckily, they're not losing their ranks due to being hit with fast cab, but still doesn't bode well for them. Treeman sauntered over here to start casting spells. The archers got into a better shooting position. Treekin advanced forward to try to get more into the fight on my right or in the center. Eagle positioned himself over here to be able to charge either the Ironbreakers next turn if they're still there, or the Thunderers, whichever he prefers. And just about everything on the right flank hit that 1 unit of warriors. They're now facing a dragon, a giant eagle, a unit of Glade Riders, and the 1 sole surviving Glade Rider from the other squad. They're having a bad day. Okay, so off to elf magic phase, and let's hope I can shut it down. Magic phase. 3 dice, no channels. Tree woman attempted to bring back some eternal guard and failed the casting total. Yeah, she's happy. So on to close combat. Or shooting, actually. The majority of the Wood Elf units were either in combat or had no line of sight to anybody, so she had her 2 units of Glade Guard over there fire up my Thunderers and actually managed to kill 3 of them. So off to close combat and some serious dwarf death. Oh, that was a fun fight phase. So the Wood Elves who charged the miners actually did a really good showing. They managed to kill off 5 of the miners. 8 wounds were received back on the elves, though. They did fail their leadership and were overran, but they seriously bloodied the miners' nose while they were going down. Over here, I did 3 wounds. She did 3 wounds, but due to res, I managed to pull off a victory. Treekin fled, but I was unable to pursue, still held in combat. Over here, she managed to kill a lot of dwarves. I managed to do a couple wounds on the eagle, kill off a glade rider, and did another wound on the general. But actually made my leadership, so the unit's folding fast, but still making an account for itself. So on to the dwarf turn. Dwarf movement phase. Not a whole lot happened. Slayers ran as quickly as they can. My Longbeards did a reform and made their leadership, so they were able to move a little bit. My miners attempted to charge these guys in the back and rolled a mighty 4 for my movement, so they failed. The hammers advanced forward 6. The fire drake, reformed, following up behind them. My rune priest ran over here, just to try to get out of the fight as much as he can. My quarrelers, since he can't shoot anything, went ahead and inched a little bit forward. And now it's going to be shooting phase. So let's see what happens. So, misfire happy today. Grudge thrower misfired, but luckily can only not shoot this turn. Cannon tried to pump a cannonball through that unit of Glade Guard and into the tree man. And the cannonball landed directly on top of one Glade Guard's head and stopped right there. So at least I squished one Elfie. Oh no, actually I rolled a 1 to wound. I didn't even do that. I guess I hit the fence. Yeah, cannonball. I can't break a wooden fence. Gotta love it. Bolt thrower did manage to actually kill 2 Eternal Guard, which, considering the way this shooting phase has gone, I'll take it. Thunderers here managed to kill 2 Glade Guard from right there. This unit managed to kill 1 Eternal Guard. My organ gun managed to misfire and only got 1 shot off, which did kill 1 Eternal Guard. So, rather anticlimactic, and now off to close combat. That was a half and half for the close combat of the dwarves, yeah. So, my Ironbreakers managed to kill both the Warhawks, but were unable to hurt the Lord, and he's unbreakable, so they are all just kind of standing there looking at each other. Over here with the dragon, where there used to be a bunch of dwarves, they were killed pretty much to a man, but before going down, they managed to kill the Warhawk and kill the general. But then the Stomps managed to take care of the few dwarves that were left. So, on to elf turn. Lots of fun. So the Treekin marched forward. They failed their leadership to be able to march, so they moved 5 inches away from my dwarves. The Eternal Guard failed their charge. They rolled a 3, I think it was, so they weren't able to make it in. The Tree Man was able to make it in, so my Ironbreakers just got a heck of a lot more interesting for them. The Giant Eagle attacked the Ironbreakers in the back. The Treekin over there managed to rally. The Dryads repositioned themselves. The Glade Riders attempted to charge my Thunderers, but actually managed to roll 3 2s, so they weren't able to make it in. The one lone Glade Rider just positioned himself beside the others. The Dragon and the Eagle both charged into my Quarrelers. I did a stand and shoot, got a couple wounds on the Dragon, but he made all of his saves. So, on to Magic Phase. So, the Treeman Ancient attempted to cast Regrowth, which I dispelled. Then the Mage over there attempted to cast the Withering, which I was able to knock out with a Spellbreaker Rune. Then a couple other spells were attempted to be cast that I was able to block. The only spell she did manage to get off was the Throne of Vines, which was her first spell, and that actually managed to heal her lord over here with the extra power you get with Lore of Life. So off to shooty phase, see what happens. Glade Guard and the Lone Glade Rider, who did not attempt to charge, both fired into the Thunderers. Got a few hits, but weren't able to get any wounds in. So on to close combat, and I have a feeling this dragon has Dwarf on the menu. Ironbreakers held up pretty well. I lost 3 to stomps. All the other attacks actually failed to do any damage. The Eagle, I won combat due to the combat res. The Eagle broke and is running away over there. You can see him on his back. And I did 1 wound to the Tree Woman, 1 wound to Erloth. He's unbreakable. She made her leadership save, so we're still fighting it out there. Over here, the dragon made quick work of my Quarrelers. I got 2 left in Burlixon, just enough to still be able to rally, and they're currently running. And the dragon overran into my gun, but didn't have enough movement to actually catch Burlixon. So I see my organ gun dying next turn, but that's the end of this one. Thank you for your time. Off to Dwarfs. Okay, just going to do a quick recap of the table in general, of how things are going with the battle. So here on my right flank, I got an Eagle preparing to do some nastiness. I got an Eagle that's breaking, 1 Lone Glade Rider, 1 squad of Glade Riders. We have a unit of Dryads that kind of stuck back here, nothing to do. Got a unit of Treekin, and we have a dragon that's hit my castle and is trying to eat my war machine. So my right flank is in big trouble. On the left flank, I've got Fire Drakes, Catapult, Hammers with my Lord, Slayers, Longbeards, and Miners, all trying to make their way back towards the center and into the fight. Only enemy is this elf here, which has no more spells left. It has no threat. I would go after him, but with this big piece of terrain right next to him, I know he would just pull the getting out of my charge line of sight game over and over again. I'm just not fast enough to compete with his movement 5 and a decent leadership, so he'd probably be able to march, so it'd just be a waste of my time trying to get to him. And I got no shooting over there, really. So the center, which is not doing so well. I still got my bolt thrower, my cannon, 2 units of shooters back here, a unit of thunderers that I'd ran up there to act as a temporary bodyguard for my runesmith as he was running. My runesmith's still there, still alive, and still running. Not broken, just trying to stay out of the fight. Don't want to give those points up. My Ironbreakers are doing a good job of holding out against the High Elf Lord and the Tree Man, but I got a unit of Treekin right there getting ready to flank me. I'm going to have to read up on whether or not those can actually disrupt me, since they're not 2 ranks of 5. We've had some very slow Eternal Guard. I haven't been able to make it into the fight yet, but are still coming down on me. I've got those unit of Treekin coming to reinforce. Standard Bearer hiding back, just giving his bubble of rerolls to everybody. And 2 much smaller unit of Glade Guard right there in the center, still kind of throwing arrows at my guys. And them and my Thunderers have been kind of swapping shots. Well, that's the case of things. I think the Wood Elves have definite advantage in the center. They have some reinforcements coming on their side, especially those Treekin are going to hurt. This side, I got a lot of reinforcements coming, but I just don't think there's going to be enough time for them to get in the game. We only have about 2 more turns left. So, on to Dwarf turn. Dwarf movement phase. So, the Longbeards attempted to charge into the back of the Treekin. I needed a 5, I got a 3. So they moved 2 inches forward, and nothing accomplished. The Miners and the Slayers moved up 6 inches. The Fire Drakes moved up 3, getting a B to start shooting at the Treekin. My Longbeards and General and Standard Bearer ran forward a full 6, so they can just barely get the corner of that unit into 12 inches. So I get the leadership bonus. The crossbowmen here reformed to be able to fire into the action if they need to. The Rune Priest ran and joined this unit. Burlickson and his 2 remaining crossbowmen were able to rally. And that's the end of the Dwarf movement phase. Now, I don't think there's one spell in play. I'm going to try to wipe that out. I'll do that right now. Nope. So let me see if I can do it with actual power dice. I'll be back in the shooting phase. Slightly better shooting phase. So the Iron Drakes managed to put 2 wounds on the Treekin. The Grudge Thrower managed to land a shell right on top of the Eternal Guard that was there, killed all but 4 of them, and these Thunders and those Thunders teamed up together to wipe out the unit, so I no longer have to worry about them charging in. My Cannonball managed to hit those Treekins and knock one completely out, and then my Bolt Thrower succeeded in completely missing them, as it has missed almost every shot it's fired this time. I think it's hit once, maybe twice. Anyways. So that's the extent of my shooting. We are going on to close combat. To no one's surprise, the dragon ate the crew for the organ gun and then overran into the newly rallied Burlickson and 2 crossbowmen. So this fight continues. And here my Ironbreakers managed to hold out. I did 3 wounds to Erloth, which he made all 3 of his saves. And then I failed to wound the Tree Man, but I managed to save all the wounds from the Tree Man and lost only 2 Ironbreakers to Erloth. So in the long runs, I win combat res by 1, but she made her leadership save on the tree. So fight continues, and here comes the Treekin to make this more interesting. So off to Elfie turn. The Wood Elves are coming back with a vengeance, so the Treekin decided to go for it and attacked my hammers with my Lord in the flank. Giant Eagle managed to charge and get my unit of Thunderers in the side. Glade Riders had lots of movement and were able to charge the back of my Ironbreakers, making it more interesting over there. Unfortunately for her, the Great Eagle failed to rally and landed right in front of the bears, so they're not able to charge in. And the Dryads swooped around trying to get into this fight, and the one lone Glade Rider is hanging back, probably trying to deny me victory points. So on to Elf Magic. Elves only got 7 dice this turn. She managed to get Throne of Vines off. I let that one go through. And she used the Life Magic Special to be able to heal 1 wound off the Tree Man with that. Then Dryka attempted to get the Withering off on the Iron Guard, and it took most of my dice, but I was able to dispel that one. Then she got Mystifying Miasma off. I failed to dispel that one, and now my Iron Breakers are fighting at Weapon Skill 2. So off to shooting, and then see what happens there. Wood Elf shooting. So the Glade Guard over there managed to do long shots into my miners and still managed to kill 2 of them off. The 2 units of Glade Guard, the one that's 1 man and the other one that's 6 man, fired into this unit, failed to do any wounds. The one lone Glade Rider over there managed to put an arrow right in the neck of one of these guys, so I did lose 1 of the Thunderers, and now off to close combat. The Hammerers and the Lord were able to kill all but one of the treekin who broke and ran. I took 1 wound in return. The dragon made quick work of Burlixon and the crossbowmen and decided to turn his attention towards the bolt thrower, which is now shaking in their boots. And a bad turn for the Iron Breakers. Between the cavalry, the Treeman, and Erloth, they managed to kill all but, 9 Iron Breakers left. And I managed to only kill 2 Glade Riders in return. I did miraculously make my leadership on a 3. And we're still stuck in there, but things are looking pretty poorly on that side. But my reinforcements are starting to show up. So off to Dwarf turn 6 and our final turn. Also forgot, the Eagle managed to not do any wounds to the Thunderers, and the Thunderers managed to not do any wounds to the Eagle. But I made my leadership and was able to reform, so at least now I'm facing it. So now off to Dwarf turn 1. It's turn 6, sorry. Miners ran towards the Glade Guard. I'm not sure if they're actually supposed to be there, but this is my last Dwarf turn. It didn't matter. The Longbeards charged after the fleeing Treekin. He ran, but they rolled an 11 for movement and was actually able to overwhelm him and managed to kill him off. The Hammers needed that 11 because they needed 10 inches to make it into the combat over here, and they rolled a 3. So yeah, they just kind of tripped. The Drakes repositioned themselves. They didn't move. And my guns kind of turned to start shooting at the dragon that's about to eat them, and that's the extent of my movement. So let's go on to shooting. Let's see if I can put some wounds on this guy. So, shooting wasn't too bad. Rocklava managed to hit the Glade Guard with the Standard Bearer. Grudge Thrower. I run Orcs 2. Managed to kill all but 3. My Thunderers managed to finish off the last guy of that Glade Rider squad. My crossbow and cannon fired grape shot. Managed to do 1 wound on the dragon. Sorry for that. And my bolt thrower at point blank range needed a 2 to hit because of the runes I put on it, and I rolled a 1. Yeah, he's been really effective all game long. So, on to close combat and the death of my Ironbreakers. The Eagle managed to do 1 wound on the Thunderers, which I failed to make the armor save, and the Thunderers failed to get any wounds in return. So we continue to fight there, but I did make my leadership. Over here, the Ironbreakers did manage to kill off the 3 Glade Riders, but they took 5 wounds in return. There is now 4 of them left, but I did manage to make my leadership test again, so that fight just continues. But those thunderstomps are really putting a pain on me, so I think this will be over pretty soon. So off to Elf last turn. Well, the Dwarves managed to block the Withering that was being cast by Dryka, but the Longbeards took a Chain Lightning, which managed to kill 2, then jumped over and managed to kill 1 of the Hammerers, but the damage could have been much worse, but the Master Rune of Grungy gave me that 5+ ward save. And then it stopped there, so that's the end of the magic phase, and on to the close combat phase, and the end of the game. Almost forgot the shooting phase. So the Glade Guard over there managed to kill off a couple of the miners here with long-range shots. Actually, 1 wound was done to the Longbeards from that unit there, but to the Master of Grungy they were able to save. And the Glade Riders here managed to kill off 1 of the Quarrelers. Not enough for a panic test, but at least they did something. At least they showed up to the battle. So off to close combat. So, last round of the game. The dragon ate my bolt thrower, which really I'm actually happy about because it only hit once in the entire 6 turns. And then overran into the cannon. And for a fun note, I gave him the Rune of Balance, and I remembered it every single magic phase, and it failed to work all 6 turns. So that was well spent 50 points. Just thought I'd throw that in there. The Thunderers were wiped out by Dryka and her entourage, and the Eagle managed to overrun them, rolling 18 for movement. So she didn't really have to drop the lowest die to catch him. And she managed to overrun directly into the Hammerer, so I almost wish there was another turn. I He'll be having some fried chicken. And I'm so proud of him. So, the last of my Iron Breakers went down. I managed to get 1 wound and Arahan in return. And with the standard and my 1 wound, it made it where I managed to make my leadership. So this one guy is standing off against a Tree Man Ancient and a High Elf Lord and just saying, bring it. Did I say High Elf? Sorry, what elf? What difference? Y'all pointy ears, y'all look alike. Anyways, that's my wife flips me off. Okay, and that's the end of the game. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I'm sure I made some mistakes. Go ahead and throw them down, or if you have any tactic tips, we'd be happy to hear them. If you like, subscribe. If you don't. Have a great day. And as a final footnote, after reviewing the victory points, the Dwarves won only by about 400 to 600 points. So wasn't a bad showing for the elves either. Alright, thank you guys. Bye.